We are fine. Today our topic is about waves. We will study about the waves and its properties. Let's start our lesson. First, we will discuss these objectives which we have to accomplish at the end. Number 1, describe what is meant by wave motion as illustrated by vibrations in ropes and spring and by waves in a ripple tank. Show understanding that waves transfer energy without transferring matter. And the last one, you have to compare the transfer and longitudinal wave and give their examples. Now, the next, how we are going to describe a wave. What is a wave? A wave is a disturbance that transfers energy from one place to another. It is made up of periodic motions, that is motion repeated at equal intervals of time. They are also known as periodic oscillations. You can take the simple example of a pendulum of a clock. A pendulum of a clock moves forward and backward in equal intervals of time. Now you can see the waves in a rope. Now this is very important to understand that how the waves are produced in a rope. As you can see in the diagram, the first part, when the hand is at rest, one end of the rope is in hand and the other end is fixed. When your hand is at rest, the points P and Q, they are at rest. You can see in the diagram here, the points are at rest. But when your hand is moving in upward direction, the blue arrow shows the direction of the motion of wave produced by your hand in a rope, and the red arrow shows the direction of motion of the particle. As we move our hand up and down, the particles will also move up and down. Now the angle between these red and blue arrows, that is very clear that they are making an angle of 90 degrees. So both directions of particle and wave are perpendicular to each other. So the main purpose of producing waves here is that the kinetic energy of your hand is transferred to the wall by the help of a rope. Okay. Now next is now you can see that in this slide you can see that there is a dipper. What is a dipper? It is a source to produce waves. When the dipper is at rest, no wave is produced. All the water particles are at rest. Now these blue balls are showing the water particles. This is a dipper. Dipper is any source which is producing the waves. If the dipper moves down, what will happen? The particles will be disturbed and the wave will move outward. It will disturb the particles, water particles, and this forms a water wave. The red arrows in the diagram shows the direction of the particles. The blue arrows shows the direction of motion of the waves. Okay. Now again the energy is transferred in this also. Now next is what we have done up to now. Let's summarize it. First we have discussed the source of a wave. It is a vibration or oscillation. And second is wave transfers energy from one point to another. They transfer energy without transferring the medium. In other words, the particles do not move, they just move forward with the waves. Okay. Now in this diagram we can see the waves produced in a spring. If you move your hands move your hands up and down, then a type of wave is produced in the spring. If you move up and down, then the crust and trough will form in the wave. Okay. Now there is hollow and hump. Okay. Now there are some parts where the motion is in such a way that produces crust and trough. If you see the direction of motion of hand, it is up and down, and the direction of the wave, it is in forward direction. Now this arrow and these arrows, they are again making an angle of 90 degrees. So the spring coil moves perpendicular to the direction of the wave again. So they are perpendicular to each other. Now in the next, we see that waves in a spring, that if we move the spring in a push and a pull motion, then the wave direction is shown by an arrow and the push and pull is forward and backward. So the spring coils moves parallel to the direction of the wave. Okay. Now next, what we have studied up to now is that there are